Coaches, on December 27th at 2 p.m. Eastern, we are hosting LA Clippers player personnel coach Dave Severance in a live e-clinic as he discusses transition offense into pistol action. The best part is that we'll have a Q&A where you'll be able to ask questions directly to Dave, a rare opportunity to bend the ear of an NBA coach. Click on the link in the description below to sign up, as space is limited. Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to BBallBreakdown and another edition of Court Call with Ronnie Nunn. As we all know, Ronnie was an NBA referee for 19 years, head of officials for 5 more, and director of development for 3 more years on top of that. So, Ronnie, can't wait to break down some of these plays. I hope you're excited about what we got for you from the Warriors versus Cavaliers game on Christmas Day.
Yeah, it was an exciting game. I had a chance to keep peeking at it amongst family, so I'm sure everybody looked at it that way. And so these plays really came out, sort of, they stuck out, and it's good to follow up on them.
Absolutely. And you know what? It didn't take long for this game to get contentious early. So the first play I want to look at with you was midway through the first quarter when Kevin Durant comes down on the fast break to pull up for a 3, and lots of contact as he's coming down and no call, and it got Steve Kerr up off the bench screaming right away, and that sort of shifted, I think, a lot of the tone toward the referees. So what do you see here, and what do you think should have happened?
Well, you know, this is one of those plays where people have to understand, first of all, the defender is the first person you look at. Is the defender coming towards the shooter? And then after we put a comma after that, maybe the next sentence is the shooter coming towards the defender? Well, who has the responsibility for himself? Remember, this game is about offense, and it's the defender that has to be vertical, because a player who comes towards a shooter, even though the shooter is coming towards him, it is incumbent upon the defender to not contact this guy. And in fact, he comes to him, tries to slip him to the side, but he makes contact, and it should be a foul and a 3-point shot attempt.
Sure. I mean, we've heard all about how they need to let the shooter land and give him space. And you can see, even aside from that, there is a bit of a collision right at the waist, in the left waist, right as he's releasing the ball. It's pretty impressive. He gets it almost to go in anyway. And this became interesting because I think that Kevin Durant, rightfully so, pleaded his case during the timeout and got a technical foul. And this comes up a little bit later because about a minute later in the first quarter, a couple different things. First, I wanted to show you that Draymond Green and Jay Crowder, as they're morphing into the offensive end for the Cavaliers, get into sort of a tussle. And I'm kind of curious what your thoughts were, because we talk a lot about, these are big games and that everyone's amped up and we want to let the players decide the game. So what do you think about what happened here, and should have a whistle been called?
Yeah, this game for early in the season, and it's Christmas time, so guys have been getting their stuff going in terms of players. These two guys make a contact. Draymond is responsible for kind of going into him, and then I think Crowder goes ahead and hooks him and takes him down. So it's a mess, and it's got to be attended to. The worst that you can have here, if you really can't discern who initiated this, is a double foul. Just stop the game and give them both a double foul, and see how they kind of disengage themselves, so you don't have to give any technicals out. If they disengage freely, then you got a double foul, and it shows them that you're on the plays. You're not going to let these kind of plays go. So I was a little disappointed that our guys didn't respond to this. This is not a play on.
For sure. Well, the interesting thing was it morphed right into a turnover at the end of this play. And as they take the foul in the backcourt against Durant, Durant kind of walks with the ball at his chest and kind of walks at Calderon, and there's contact. And I know a lot of the Cavaliers fans were completely up in arms and wanted this to be called a technical foul. I know Jeff Van Gundy instantly said that. What's your thought on what happened here at the end of this? Because obviously the referees knew he already had one technical foul, and that would have been an ejection.
Yes, and when you're getting ready to really sign up somebody for an ejection, you want to make sure that you've got something a little more overt. Now, there's no question there was some provocativeness in this. And maybe for a first technical, it could have been, and maybe not even, because these kind of situations during this type of play and energy and competitive spirit, you can immediately get in between them and just say, hey, we're not going to have it. Get to your places right now. You go left, you go right. and let's play on. That kind of competitive stuff can happen, and I think it just falls below the line of really having to address it with the technical. So he saved on that play, Durant, strictly because he really doesn't step over the line on the provocative ball semi-push in there. I
Yeah.
mean, and I mean, you've got to be a good judge in situations like that. And I don't think it gives anybody any favors, except when you do have one technical, you want to make sure that if you're going to really shoot this down, it's got to be something that's got to be more than that. And again, this happens in games like this that don't warrant a technical, but it's certainly at the door knocking for one, but it shouldn't have been given. And I don't even think if he had zero techs, that I would have given a tech on this one either.
Yeah, it was truly remarkable how the Cavaliers fans were convinced that he pushed him away with the ball, which I think would have merited a technical foul without question. He simply has the ball connected to his own body, and he continues his pace. And then when he pulls it away, there's no extension of the arms. So to me, that's what's going on and why it didn't merit a technical foul. But man, like on Twitter, every single Cavaliers fan saw something completely different. It was very strange.
Yeah, well, in all fairness, there was something there, but it just wasn't enough. I mean, we've had that with arms, people getting out of people's ways and they flail their arm a little bit to make space where they're walking. I mean, this is the same thing in the use of a ball. It's subtle, it's almost there, but it's not there, whether it's a technical for Durant or not initially that he had.
Well, let's move into the second quarter where, as far as I'm concerned, there was an effort in the beginning of the year to limit the calls for shooters that are jumping into the defender when he leaves his feet. And we have an instance here where Dwayne Wade gets David West in the air and then jumps into him and they give him 3 free throws. Do you agree with this call?
First of all, I agree with the call. And I go back to the basics. A player can always go forward as long as he's going forward to the basket. Now, if he's going to the right or to the left to try to get that contact, that's a different story. And those are tougher plays. Sometimes they're clearly offensive, and sometimes they're almost on line in an angle towards the basket in the same way, and he's trying to lure the foul. But the key person, as I said before, on the play with Smith and Durant, is what is the defender doing? If he's coming towards a shooter, he is vulnerable and he's suspect. The slightest hit is going to affect the shot, especially for shooters. So, and anybody shooting for that matter. So in this case, David West, again, if we look at him, he's coming. He recognizes his trajectory is to the shooter, and he's really trying to avoid it as best he can. Well, Wade says, I got him, and I'm going to go forward, and I'm going to get a piece. And he does. He gets a piece. I think he may get a touch of the elbow with the body, but he gets enough to create a foul against West. And that's up fakes. That's what up fakes do. And if you go vertically, you're safe. Then if contact occurs by Wade, then it's either a no call or possibly offensive. But in this case, he's got him good.
Fair enough. It's relatively reasonable. I still don't agree. I feel like he completely contorted himself to create contact, which would not have been any kind of normal shot for him had the defender not been there. And it just seems to me that's kind of getting in that gray area where they've been trying to eliminate that stuff. But I do like the fact that you are parsing between jumping to your right or to your left, which is definitely one of those things they wanted to clean up.
Yeah, and in this case, I don't see him going left or right. I really see him going forward because he knows he's got him. And the replays really show him coming and then really Wade waiting for him to get close enough to go up. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty clever. And, great offensive players know how to lure fouls.
Absolutely. Well, the next clip I want to look at is no surprise for Jeff Green fans that he appears oblivious to what's going on the floor as he's wandering across the lane as LeBron James is driving, leading a big collision between Kevin Durant and Jeff Green. Lots to go through on this play. They ultimately gave LeBron the free throws. Explain how all this unfolded.
Well, I first of all, I don't understand that the foul should have been an offensive foul. The fact that the player doesn't realize where he's going as a defender really doesn't know who's behind him. There's contact. Now, was that a normal screen set? Obviously not. First of all, if he did try to set a good screen, he was late. It would have been an offensive foul. In this case, he's meandering across the lane, maybe getting ready to get into position for something they're going to run, and LeBron elects to take the play, understandable, but his guy's in the way. And the only play you can have here is an offensive foul. So,
right, like an illegal screen, basically.
yeah, basically an illegal screen. Not one that one volunteered to do, but one that got caught with his whole body in the cookie jar.
Fair enough. And the referees had a discussion about this. And so I guess what they ultimately came up with was they felt like, I guess, Kevin Durant fouled Jeff Green. How does LeBron James get to shoot the free throws on this one?
Well, he's in the shooting motion on this play. So if the shooter is if the shooter is fouled on a play done by another player who knocks a player into him, then the foul would be on Durant. In other words, if that play was clean and Durant went into his opponent, who went into the teammate, which is LeBron James, then James, being the shooter, is the one that finishes the play because of that particular incident, the way it happened. But in most cases, I mean, this play, I don't know how everybody got befuddled by it. It's really a simple play. Just keep the play simple, call offensive foul, and leave it alone.
I agree. Very, very, very strange. And, it added another layer, another tone to the game as we move into the fourth quarter, where it's very tight, very exciting stuff. And we get some one-on-one. We rarely get two superstars going at each other, at least on this end, with Kevin Durant guarding LeBron James. And we have a drive to the hoop. And I know a lot of Cavs fans were very upset and probably felt like this is indicative of some conspiracy. What do you think happened in this play?
This is an interesting play. And this is having the intestinal fortitude to call the play as it is. And really what happens here is when they first make contact, that contact on that drive is really marginal. And what happens is LeBron loses his dribble. Now, after he loses his dribble, both guys, their feet, get tripped upon. And the play is dead after that. That's almost incidental contact after a play. Mm-hmm. And really neither of them deserves anything except, is it an out of bounds play? And as I'm looking at it again now in front of us, I can see, and that baseline camera is what the official sees. There's the loss of the dribble, and then all of a sudden there's a trip. That's not like a loose ball foul play. This is a possession play where a guy loses his dribble. The contact after is truly incidental. Neither player deserves the foul. Durant does get a little bit of a trip in there, but it's not on possession of the ball, and it's not enough for me to would want to whistle. So that took some intestinal fortitude to point the finger and saying, we're going the other way, fellas.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it was exactly how you saw it and what happened. In fact, we got a little clip of LeBron James agreeing with you as well, saying that it was, in fact, just a turnover on him.
I lost it. I lost it on the left wing. It got me a little bit, but I lost that one.
Well, not long after that, same exact score, and LeBron comes down in the semi-transition and takes Kevin Durant to the basket. And now here was an interesting play because there's a lot of contact, a lot of things going on here, and no whistle at all. Do you agree with how this unfolded?
No, I think we had to have a whistle there. And let me tell you something. It was a tough play. First of all, there was a foul initially on the drive as Durant had his arm out and really impeded. It broke up the rhythm, speed, balance, quickness of LeBron going to the basket. So right around at the elbow, there was a stunting of his drive. Like I used to say, great players convert so well. Sometimes they go through the context that other people can't. So a foul should have been up there. And as you see this, there's an extension, and he kind of goes through it. Now, all of a sudden, as we see the follow-up, we can see the arm and the shoulder of Durant. He has a long reach. And this is one of those situations where there is a block of the ball, but the contact to the shoulder is more of a foul than the block. And, sometimes when you have blocks, you let them go with the contact that can occur, but it's more marginal than illegal. And in this case, you have a block, but you also have a sufficient amount of contact over the shoulder. And you just got to come up with a foul. We've got a lot of plays where guys will blow the whistle on blocks, and people get crazy about it. And sometimes they're wrong to blow. They need to wait and see how that play actually finishes itself to see if the contact's more than it should be. But in this case, it's a simultaneous block and contact. You have to go with the contact because that's the most prevalent thing happening there.
For sure. I agree wholeheartedly, and I feel like it's too bad. This game was, everyone was looking very forward to the rematch from last year's finals and the years before that and the year before that, and it just felt like it was a little bit too unsteady with what was the refereeing was going on, unfortunately, and it affected the game a little bit, and hopefully they can get this thing straightened out for when these two teams meet in Cleveland.
Yeah, it was a great early game for this, and it's great for the officials too, because the more we have video review, and this was the thing for officials upon my leaving, it was, listen, we need a higher level of competency on these things, because the camera is the fan that everybody sees. The camera's the one that can hurt us, and that's who we fight against, getting those plays. So, call the plays. Don't try to let them think that they're going to evaporate or whatever. If they're harsh enough, address it, because that's what people expect from officials.
Absolutely. Well, Ronnie, thank you so much for giving us some clarity, some light into the situation. And as we move forward, this was a good Christmas Day gift for us, and can't wait for the next one.
Absolutely, and great holiday, and I look forward to. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of stuff. The movement of the game also has the physicality of the game again, and it'll be great to see how the season goes on.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again for joining us. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in? Are you in, Ronnie?
I'm in, and I love being in with you.